This conference will now be recorded.
Everyone read the minutes.
Who made the second? Zach.
Do you want to call, we might have to do roll call actually,
Yes.
since we're online. So for the approval of the agenda.
Okay,
So we have Julian,
a roll call for the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
or I'll have to call you.
She'll call out the names.
Member Weezer?
Here.
Member Myers? Here. Member Burns?
Here.
Member Carr?
Here.
And Vice Chairman Price.
Here.
So those will actually be ayes to vote on the
Yeah.
agenda. But we're fine. Okay, now you can do the minutes.
All right, let's take consideration of the minutes. Everyone's ready. I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
All those in favor.
Roll call vote, just a roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Member Carr? Member Carr?
Roll call vote, yes.
Approve the minutes, yes or no?
Member Myers?
Yes.
Member Burns?
You know, I was not here, so I don't know that it would actually be appropriate for me to
Yeah.
come out.
You can stay.
Okay, I'll stay. But won't do that all week.
Member Weezer? Vice Chairman Price?
Approve. Okay, moving on to other comments. We're gonna make other comments. At this time. No public.
No public. I have the staff report from our last meeting. We did, we approved it at the level here to do the zone change for 2603 6-shooter.
Did they go
The
forward?
county actually denied that in April,
Okay.
so it did not go forward.
Not all we did.
Yep. Just wanted to give you guys an update on that.
Okay, now let's move to the public comment. We'll move on to action items. I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to move on.
The Griffin 31 plus acres. ETZ zone.
Need a second.
Question.
All right, good afternoon, commissioners, Crystal Ball, planning and zoning. I'll take this down so you can hear me. We have the owner of this property requesting to change zone from R1, which is residential, to an R3 commercial. Next one. This property is located on the north west side of town. If you notice on the map, the houses you see to the south of that blue line are the houses that are along Dogwood, if you know that area. The white building to the southwest corner there is the Catholic Church on 9th Street. Everybody kind of know where this area is
Would
at.
that be 9th Street, the main
Yes,
thoroughfare going through there? Okay.
yes, 9th is on that west side of the
Okay.
blue line there. The picture is taken to where north is up, the directions are correct. Doesn't quite go all the way to Gum, as you can tell. There is nothing out on this property except for the one structure, and that is the structure that the owner wishes to turn into a venue. She would be able to rent the venue out to people wanting to do a wedding, a birthday party, an office meeting, any type of large gather or functioning that needed that size of building. She has plans to update the building so it would have restrooms and all that, but she didn't want to go through with all the work if she can't get the zone changed to make this legal. She would have access from 7th Street. The 911 addressing did just finally come back the other day, and it would be 7th Street address for that structure. So she wouldn't have to do much with the Cleachy Road, just basically right on up from the alleyway there, Dogwood and 7th, and on into her property. Do you have any questions? Go to the next slide. I believe I have the building. Yeah, there's the building, and that's the legal address. Yes.
How do you get access in there now?
She has a gate on 9th Street that you can drive in through, or you can go through her home by her house and go up in there, but she usually has that area locked. But like I said, her access, once she opens this as a venue, would be from 7th Street, which is the map we had before.
Is that a heavy residential traffic area on 7th Street?
Not heavy, it's light residential.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much that road, 7th and Dogwood, that's the corner section of it. So most people that live on the Dogwood side of it either come off of 9th or come into 7th to go.
Okay.
But there's only, what's there, I think I counted 16 homes there, so it's not heavy traffic.
Okay. And so we're wanting to,
She needs to change the zone.
sure. So the whole 31 acres, right
Yes.
there, okay, I got you.
She's a large land owner there.
Yes. Yes, all other parcels are not near the size of this parcel.
What are your plans for the other acreage out there?
Just to leave it natural. And I will let them stay.
Stand up here, drop down so they can hear you. Introduce yourself.
Alma Griffin. And,
Drop it down low so they can hear you.
Better.
Yeah.
I plan on just leaving it natural pasture and around the building, have some landscaping, to make it nice.
And there's already trucking companies up there, buffers.
To the
There
north
is.
of her.
Yeah. Yeah, just right to the north of her, yeah.
What size is the building that you're planning? Right now, this building is a 50 by 60, and I plan to add in front of the building, add a section that'll be about 30 by 50 for restrooms and a small kitchen area and maybe a drive-through.
So probably just anything, weddings,
Yes.
banquets, birthdays,
Class reunions,
Sure.
family reunions, even
food and house, sure.
business trainings.
Sure.
Have any of the houses on Dogwood been contacted as far as any concern there? I mean. is
Yes,
there-
I did send a letter out to every house along that, we have to actually send a notice to everyone within 100 foot of her property line. So that's everybody on Gum, everybody on Dogwood
Right,
was all notified of this change and the reason.
because that's the only thing that concerned me, would be the noise, there could be pollution after hours on,
If you read her letter, she will have restrictions on that.
But I mean, 11 o'clock is real late for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So,
It is pretty much, we go back to the first picture, the way it is out and alone and kind of by itself.
It's 263 feet for the closest house, right?
Yes,
It's closer to my house.
closer to her house than any other home in there.
And yours is 1424, that's your house? Or
Four-
that's
420.
the number.
422 was my house.
Yeah,
That
14.
was a 1420.
Yeah, she actually has a different address because she comes off of Quarter Horse Lane for her home.
Mhm.
Which if you look at this, is Quarter Horse Lane. Right.
Yep.
That comes in, this is her home in this area. Did get a call from this person. They asked me to describe what was going on a little bit more. They had no qualms with it. I got several calls from the property owners up here asking the same questions.
Uh-huh.
Nobody had any issues with it. And they called and found out what we were doing.
But you had no one from the houses on.
I did get a couple from a Dogwood, I think it was no, it was 820 something. It was one of these here in the center.
Yeah.
And they just didn't understand. They said, well, that's not my property. Why am I getting this letter? So I had to explain to them why they were getting the letter, that it had nothing to do with their property. It was the property adjacent to them to the north. And then they understood. They said, oh yeah, I know where that building's out there. They were fine.
So the access that the traffic will be using, are those on paved roads?
So Dogwood and Seventh are paved. The alleyway from right here at this intersection is Cleachy, and this is all Cleachy Alley. She's going to go ahead and just make sure this Cleachy stays in good repair, and then she's gonna Cleachy from here out to here to where she'll have a Cleachy parking area.
Keep from having so much dust for neighbors.
And that is probably really my comment is that, is this our best, access area?
It is, because the further here, you would have a more Cleachy road going this direction.
Well, it would play into almost economics.
Yes, and it
have
would
an
dust,
impact on
it would dust more homes than just the little bit here. And these people right here, this dust is stirred up all the time from people using this alley as it is. So they're used to it. They live beside a field. Most of them are very used to the dust.
Yeah, but it does get dusty back there anyway. Yeah, it doesn't talk about
When the
that.
wind blows, yes.
May I say a couple of things?
We'd love to hear it, man.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys letting me speak. Obviously, I'm here for Ms. Griffin.
Your name is, okay?
Michael Newell. You'll be taking this off?
Certainly hear you back.
I will not object to that in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, thank you. First of all, I'd like to, point out, I think Alice thought this thing through. She has, discussed with me, just like I think she's discussed with you, a lot of these scenarios about, noise and traffic and things of this nature. So I think she's going to be very cognizant of the issues in the neighborhood. And the other thing I would like to point out, no one's objecting. No one's here objecting to this. And I mean, the staff hasn't been notified with objections, just questions, which, apparently, according to what just reported, the people understood and we're kind of good with this. This is a part of town or a part adjacent to our community that is very underdeveloped. And I know, for example, that, people out in this area have been contacted for other projects, including like, I think, the community solar people have contacted. So, I mean, there's other things out here that impact zoning at some point. So I suspect whether it's Ms. Griffin's or somebody else's, y'all are going to get asked at some point to look at the zoning for this area because it does set itself up, set itself up for a multiplicity of uses, not just residential. So that would be my point. I think this is good for the community, for us to kind of open that up for more, a more larger variety of uses. And like I said, some of it's already being used right now in that area for trucking companies and things like that.
And that is a question I've got. I do know that, like, you go up and down Gum, there's multiple trucking companies there. I mean, are they zoned commercial?
Nope.
No. It's right. Yes.
It was almost a rhetorical, but I didn't know for sure.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Ms. Griffin again is not here to do something and, she wanted to make sure that
She was doing that correctly.
eyes and
So the trucking companies, they haven't been in here before anybody.
not that I'm aware, I don't know, so I can't speak to
Is that
that.
right? They just kind of did their own thing.
Pretty much.
Big problem.
It is a big problem.
You know what? I don't know anything about anything, but it looks like it to me.
It's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forgive me, there's no enforcement. And I don't know.
The county tries to enforce it. They have a problem trying to keep it enforced. They have to mainly control animals and new construction. A lot of these trucking companies have been on these outskirt areas for a while. The county does try to shut down any new businesses they see going out in these areas. And that's why we are getting more and more requests for these zone changes to do different things. The thing I appreciate is when I have an owner that comes in before they've done the work to get the permission to do something, instead of coming in and asking for forgiveness later, she's asking for information before.
Yeah,
It's actually-
there's a lot to be said for that.
Yes,
You
there
can
is.
tell that,
That's kind of a different topic, you know, we need to bring up maybe later, as far as enforcement in the ETZ zone all the way around town.
absolutely.
As far as this one, my only concern, and I'm all for commerce 100%.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it multiple times, is that I don't know what was, it works great for 5 years, and then you decide to sell it to somebody else who now it's commercial property, they park, 50 transports on the fence line on it.
And that's, yeah,
That's the only thing that would concern me at all about it. I love this idea.
Absolutely.
I want to do this myself.
I think we could probably do it and put in a stipulation that it's only for her while she owns property.
You can put in that stipulation.
And if she sells it,
It would change that.
It would nullify it.
Yeah, because I love the idea of it.
I do too. I
oh,
really-
no, the idea itself is good and it needs to happen. I think that y'all are just trying to think of something on down the road. And I thought that too, if you sell it to somebody.
Long term, they don't want 35 vacuum trucks parked, across
In
the
their backyard.
fence of an alley.
No.
Yeah, my only concern is like on the 100 block of Erlac, we all remember that, they wanted to put a taco wagon out there, going commercial, without looking at that property. You got a burned down motor homes, that's you got. Horrible.
Yeah.
The stipulation we put on that was we wanted to access, traffic access, permanent access, and they never wanted to do it.
Yeah, I think they never went.
So, and that was a very minor deal.
What is that? I mean, again, she's the property owner.
Mhm.
This is the United States of America. This is something that's completely legal. She's not talking about putting in something that's not legal. We don't have any opposition here. And, I mean, with all due respect to future concerns and stuff like that, I mean, again, if the neighbors were really concerned, they would be here, and they're not. And so, to me, this commercial zoning increases the value of this property. And so I would argue that, there shouldn't be stipulations. There's no basis that's been presented here for stipulations. And the only basis for stipulations is a hypothetical about what may happen in the future. And, in the future, there's not going to be any transport trucks because they're going to drive the oil and gas industry out of here. I mean, that's the reality of
But
it.
not in that way.
No, I like it. I'm not for it, but I mean, if we're going to talk about the realities of the future, the hydrocarbon industry is under attack and it's going to be under attack. And I mean, so again, I'm less concerned about these future uses that may be.
When we lose the oil and gas industry.
She's not good.
Well, maybe no commercial property out there.
Okay, well, again, that's another issue for another time, and I'm not advocating that, but my point is this. I know over here on, within the city limits, we've got various places where we already have commercial trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, there's houses that are in those same neighborhoods.
Yeah, a lot of those in the housing areas though, it's because they decided to build their house in a commercial zone,
No, I
which is
understand that.
allowed, but
No, I understand that.
that's their choice.
No, I get it again, but, okay. If you have it zoned commercial, then the restrictions are a lot less than you have it zoned residential. So it means people can move in there for residences. But, and so it keeps these options open for landowners. And again, if we, the whole thing about the oil and gas industry is those people own that property and we want them to be able to develop it. And that's how this Lee County economy is based. And so if we start deciding we're going to be some super regulatory body, that's really inconsistent with what Lee County is about. We're about come in here, do what you want to do, and we're going to create an opportunity for you to make money. And I'll suggest to you, that's the difference between Lee County and other counties that I see in New Mexico. Like, for example, you go to Eddie County, I've had clients, they want to know what you're going to do for them. You come to Lee County, it's different. What can we do for you to make your business successful? And that's why Lee County is the most vibrant economy in the whole state of New Mexico. Part of it's oil and gas, but it's so far beyond oil and gas now from, what we saw in the 1980s. That's why we didn't get crippled with the last downturn like we did in the 1980s. But again, I would ask you guys, appreciate what you do, first of all. But again, look at it from the standpoint of the landowner. And there's no opposition here. So what's the basis for restrictions unless we just think we know better on telling a landowner what the landowner needs to do with his or her property? And again, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it's kind of a philosophical thing that I think, here in Lee County, we've always embraced private property ownership. And she wants to do something with it. It's just sitting out there and it's been undeveloped for years. So she should have the opportunity, and that's what we ask. Sorry if I talked.
No, Mac, you act like you've been to Barbara before.
Once in a while, I like the sound of my own voice way too much,
So this is really a double-edged sword. I've been on the side, quite a bit for your private landowner and everything. I'd like to do this with my property. They're, what do you mean I can't do that? This is the United States of America.
Is it out of the city limits? It's right on the edge.
I thought the city limits went to come anyway.
No, city limits stops at the alley of Dogwood.
That's what I was.
But I think on the flip side here is that, especially in this North Lovington area, I think that probably the spirit of this board here is try to keep it as clean as possible. And let's try to make sure that we clean it up. And when we talk about, there's no doubt that it would have a value impact on all this property if you make future stipulations. If you ever want to sell it to somebody, but you can't do anything with it, well, there's not a lot of value there. But I'm wondering, if we can't help buffer some of this, maybe through our regulations here on this board, or the enforcement of the existing regulations that we do have.
Yeah, I love you, Dad, and I know this is gonna be a good thing for us, but I'm on that edge where it needs to be stipulated. You could own it as long as you can with that guarantee that this can be commercial property. But when you sell it, it goes to revert back right back to together. Because it is so close to being in the city limits. If it gets brought in by the neighbor having more property than you and allows that part to be brought back into the city, then you're gonna have a whole different situation. And if you have that stipulation saying that as long as I own this, I can have the commercial property. And say you own it for 100 years, that's a good thing. But say you decide to, I know you're not going to, but decide you want to move and you want to sell that property, you're gonna have to explain to them, once you buy this property, it's gonna be for single family dwellings. And you're gonna have to go in for the commission to get it changed into your name.
Wow. Nobody's objecting to it.
I know.
What is the purpose of doing that other than to create a burden on Ms. Griffin that is not a burden? Because you're gonna devalue her property when she sells it. Okay, let's just put it.
She's selling it.
Okay.
One way or the other.
Okay.
Single family or commercial, you're still gonna sell it.
No, commercial property worth more
And
if
it's
it goes
right.
back.
Yes,
That's gonna go
absolutely.
back down to automatic.
And then plus, if she develops that property, and let's say it's a very viable business, and she wants to sell it, and you're like, oh,
She could subdivide and sell that piece.
But she couldn't because it would just go back.
revert back.
It would go back.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, what about the business that she'll already have? Say she sells that, it wouldn't go, since it's already an existing business. I mean, it's not gonna go back to residential.
To the property.
Under what y'all are saying.
See, that's, yeah, it would automatically go back.
I mean, if there are people in here objecting, then we can accommodate those objections, but there's no one here objecting. We're creating like hypotheticals and fictions that don't exist to limit the ability of her to develop this in the future. I mean, what if, well, we talk about economic diversity. This would also be a great place for things to come in that could bring jobs to Lee County. I mean, there's not that much undeveloped, unrestricted property that doesn't have some kind of oil and gas or something other that's not desirable on that property for development.
Are you looking at possibly test for this off Ninth Street?
I had at the beginning, but I know that that road would have to be longer and it would be more costly.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
If I could afford it, I would.
It'll be like, I just think that it'd be a lot less residential for the new coming in.
Maybe that's an opportunity for the county to partner with you on. Oh, Mike, you can get that done for you.
But I think the point would be though, if it was, zone, then there are going to be better opportunities to make it more economically viable to bring in an access road from Ninth Street.
I hope you have a huge shopping center there.
I know, that would be nice, but,
Traditional grocery
right.
But if we keep closing up all the property and make it residential, we'll never have that.
So true.
I'd like to make a motion
Let's go.
to pass action. Changing 131 acre ETZ zone to commercial,
Single family.
single family to commercial. No stipulations.
Without any stipulations.
I'll second that.
Let's have it.
Okay, member Weezer? Member Burns?
Aye.
Member Myers? Member Carr?
Yes.
And Vice Chairman Price?
Yes. Okay, so,
Thank you all very much.
thank you.
Good luck.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna have to go for the county.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
She's aware. Me and her have discussed, water, sewer, things like that for that property. And several other things on this property. She's talking to me about it intensely, so she's aware she has to go into the county. Bruce was telling me that this actually needs to be, which I didn't know, I just thought we went in and approved it like always. But Bruce is saying we need to make it a motion to consider.
To recommend.
Oh, a motion to recommend approval. So that way our motion.
Yeah, because the final comes from the county.
From the county.
Okay,
So we recommend approval is what we need to change that.
Anything else?
No, thank
Thank
you.
you.
May we be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, Trish?
That is all I have.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion. Sure.
Need a second?
They'll have a great, if not, we'll say, here.
Roll
Member,
call.
Member Carr? Member Myers? Member Weezer? Member Burns?
Aye.
And Vice Chairman Price?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay.
See?
That didn't hurt very